Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 745 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malda. Joining me today are two of the greatest geeks you're ever going to meet, and only 50% of them are ill. Chris DeBona.
I'm still sore from my third booster, but you know. Yeah.
Rob Roseboom.
I'm not actually ill.
Hello.
Oh, gentlemen.
I wish I could just hug you.
Aw.
Yeah.
You sweet man.
All right.
Poor sick man.
Oh, poor thing.
All right.
All right, let's go through it quick.
Yeah.
before you fade. All right. Well, let's start up with the GTA6 thing.
Yep.
There's the leaks of the GTA6, and people were freaking out about that. And I'm mostly looking at that thinking, like, who cares? Like, oh, look, they showed some videos of a dude walking around. Like, that's what what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, I saw that Rockstar put out a statement this morning.
Yeah.
About the
They're
leaks
like, yep,
and stuff.
we were hacked. It sucks. You know.
Yeah, it's weird to me that everybody got was acting like this was some kind of huge deal or something. Like, oh no, they leaked this footage of Rockstar. I guess it's probably more important that whatever other information they got is probably more important than leaked gameplay. But
yeah, I watched one of them, and it was like a rob a diner scene, and you know, it's like, yeah, they're working on a game. Who knew?
Right.
You know, I'm like, this is clearly a Grand Theft Auto game.
They've had 10 years to make another one.
And I'm sure it's going to be great when they're done, right? And I'm sure
Yeah.
they'll make, you know, all the billions and the rest, and good for them. But
so are you going to be able to steal cars in this one and listen to special radio stations?
What?
Whoa. I hope that when I commit crimes, I raise
Don't just
some
give
sort
your
of,
ideas up.
I raise some sort of criminal level, and then I'm chased by police officers who maybe I will have to shoot.
Roseboom, listen, we're working on a game together. Don't just give up all of their best ideas.
Right.
Save that.
Sorry about that.
I suppose there probably isn't a lot of scenes in Fractured Veil where you're being chased by cop cars.
Not by cop car.
No.
Not a lot of cop cars in the post-apocalyptic Hawaii.
You know,
Not yet.
We should probably have a couple of busted ass, you know, broken down cop cars that you can, if you open them up, maybe there's a, you know, gauze and, you know, a shotgun that you can't get to.
That works. Let's see. The
I'm
next
sure Grant would love a little tip from us right now.
Sure he would.
pro tip.
No, we have a running joke where we ask Grant for things that we know he won't give us, because then he can say no, and it makes him,
Makes him feel powerful.
makes him feel alive. You know?
Hey, I get it. Saying no is awesome. All right. The next one is kind of the big one, I think, for the week, which was the court case on tech
circuit, baby,
regulating online speech, which I don't understand this. Like,
it's.
And
I don't see this surviving even this Supreme Court.
And let me be clear,
you know?
I am the most anti-censorship of the internet kind of person that you can kind of be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, our policies on Slashdot would never fly in 2022.
No, for sure.
We held things to an incredibly free standard, but even we had to occasionally deal with content that you couldn't repeat. And if this is true, that they're saying that I guess what the judge said was you can't censor based on a viewpoint, but is not a viewpoint literally every single thing that you could possibly censor? Isn't that like the definition of I have a viewpoint on, so therefore I must delete?
Yeah, it's probably not going to survive the Supreme Court. Let me just say that. It's just such bad law.
I mean, it might, man.
If it does, I mean, it's really weird.
You know, Chris, maybe it's up for the states to decide.
Yeah, states' rights. Yeah.
Yep. You can always say states' rights until you win, and then you just make it federal.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this one, like, I there's cognitive dissonance in this. Like, usually I can see
So
both sides.
let me ask you something. Am I breaking the law if I were to say I'm gonna go right? Did I just censor a viewpoint?
I
Did I
think
just break the law according to the Fifth Circuit?
no, because that would mean YouTube would have to have bleeped you.
No. I mean, reading the ruling, any online service provider.
You're not an online service provider, though.
Aren't we? Aren't we online providing a service in this beautiful
Whopper
podcast that has four people downloaded it? Aren't we standing in the way of my views, pointing at them?
I don't think that you can
I'm
make
just
that
saying,
case
this
for
is
pressing a
bad
button
law.
on yourself.
This is very bad law. Okay, do you want to press a button?
Let's see, what do I have?
You have a button.
I got that one.
Can you have it so that here? I'm gonna pretend like I'm saying something, and you play that. Like I'm gonna say,
There. There, I
right,
censored
so
you.
you just censored me, and
Except that you
I
stopped
think
talking.
you belong in jail.
Oh,
in
man.
Texas. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm
No.
sorry. I'm stretching, but
Yeah.
it,
No, this doesn't make sense.
it's not so cuckoo.
Yeah.
These dum-dums on the Fifth Circuit, they should, you know,
Well, our
not
Fifth
be
Circuit
judges.
Are those guys lifetime appointees?
I honestly
I don't know
believe so.
if circuit
Yeah,
judges are
this
lifetime.
is part of Trump's legacy. you know.
Well, sure. Yeah, this one just, I don't know. This one bothers me because, like,
Should.
well, like with a lot of the other stuff, like I can both sides. I can see at least the nugget of what you're saying, even if I might disagree with where you landed. But this, like, you're starting from a fundamental place of not understanding what's happening. But, oh well.
I don't know. I think that, you know, as usual, I just hope Texas gets everything it asks for. Right? Like now there's no censoring anything in Texas. There's just porn on every billboard. There's, Satan worshiping temples being constructed in elementary schools because they wouldn't want to censor a viewpoint.
You can't.
It's like,
Well,
there's
you can censor it if it's being
a YouTube
anti-gun.
video, Well, yeah, this is the thing. It's like a lot of anti-gun stuff, a lot of pro-gun stuff, but pro-gun, but inside, the bathroom of the governor's mansion,
Those people who post that pedophilia is totally cool.
Ugh, yeah, right. It's like, we were censoring a lot of stuff, right?
That's the thing that I don't
we're
think
not the government.
That's the thing that I don't think that people
Big
understand is that censorship isn't a black and white line that you're drawing with a Sharpie marker. It's this big blurry gray thing, and there's a whole lot of yes, you get that off the internet on one end, and there's a whole lot of yeah, that's totally fine on the other end. And then there's this whole mess in the middle. And we can argue about where you draw that line, but
Sure.
they just drew that line at a place that is insane.
Well, I think is going to literally happen. So the Chinese government loves pushing propaganda online, right? You're going to see so much China #1 if this sort of thing is allowed to continue. Like, it's just like, well, I hope you like the CCP, buddy.
Well, we're only about 1 or 2 years away from that, so
I mean, it's like they both want to shut down TikTok and they're against viewpoint censorship.
I know.
I'm like, what is up with you dum-dums?
It's wild.
Yeah,
I can't.
It's madness.
I spent more than a decade running a system. Rob spent more than a decade moderating a system.
Personally moderated 250,000 comments a year. Roseboom. Hey, you should be on the Fifth Circuit.
Yeah,
you should be the judge.
All right. Well, okay. The Battlebots
survived the censorship wars.
Jesus. The Battlebots story is actually really neat. If you haven't
is that the food delivery robot thing?
No, but that one's funny too.
It's a BattleBot, going into a police scene.
It could be. It'd be pretty fun. The Battlebot story is actually like, so I watched BattleBots when it was new, and I enjoyed it for a couple of seasons, and then whatever, it got kind of stupid. But whatever. But this story talks a lot about how they changed and how they modify the rules and security and safety issues connecting to BattleBots, and it was actually really neat because they talked about how there came a point where the wedge just became like this undefeatable thing. And so they talked about how they changed the rules in order to now you have to have like a moving weapon. But then they also talked a lot about how in the current generation of BattleBots, it's more about heat management because your batteries dissipate so much energy that they get hot. And so you can't just run your super powerful weapon forever. So you have a partner on your team who's monitoring the heat of your BattleBot and letting you know, hey, you got to chill out with your weapon because if you don't, your battery is going to explode. And then they talk about where they have a special room for charging batteries. And they have to do battery inspections because the lithium ions are so much more dangerous than basically back in the day when they just basically were putting car batteries in those things.
So the last season of BattleBots I ever watched was because what was winning was this one BattleBot that would just spin around really fast and sort of had flails attached to it, and it just destroyed everything.
Yeah.
But I see that they don't have that design anymore, so that must have been
Too cool.
Yeah.
They changed the rules. And another rule that I was unaware of, which I think is really cool, is that they are allowed to make any modifications that they want at any point during the season.
Oh wow.
And they're like, that's in keeping with the spirit of the competition. You can make modifications. It's all about that kind of ingenuity. I don't know. I just thought this article was really cool. And it had a lot of stuff in it that I just did not know.
Yeah, were you guys? Were one of you with me? I went to a BattleBots on Treasure Island. God, this is a long time ago. This may have been before Google,
Wasn't
or
me.
even before. Wasn't before VA Linux though. But yeah, no, I went to one once, and it was quite a production. They had this huge hangar that they were doing the thing in, and yeah, it was something.
Yeah, they also talked a lot about how back in the day nobody really was doing CAD, and now
people were just bodging shit together.
Yeah, they would just they just fold their metal in the shop, pound it with hammers. It was like the blacksmithing era, and now like all the top teams are like they have advanced CAD because I mean the technology has come so far since then that's just practical now. It's really cool.
Puffing. Battery puffing. What the heck?
Yeah, the batteries swell up and then they explode. And then they start big fires.
Our laptops were like that, Roseville.
They were.
We should just take our laptops and fling them in against each other, and see which one comes out. Okay.
Battle laptop?
Battle tops.
Yeah, I mean, it probably isn't as gripping television as the regular BattleBots, but it'd be a lot cheaper.
I mean, are you guys like just whacking each other with them? Like we can watch the two of you fight?
No.
We
like
throw the
Roastem.
laptops.
I don't want to hurt him.
Yeah, we throw the laptops at each other.
He's not feeling well, Malda. Don't beat up on Roseboom.
Yeah.
What are you doing, man?
I don't have a battery melting in my lithium ion laptop.
He's a good man. Don't hit him. I don't want to hit Zen. I mean, come
on. So Loab. Loab, the internet's latest urban legend. This popped up like a week ago. It's the stable diffusion stuff. And somebody figured out how to make some creepy face appear. And then it has become sort of a thing where people are trying to make the creepy face appear in art. And they're calling it Loab, and it's sort of like the internet's latest Slender Man. It's just kind of funny. It's interesting because like obviously all of these stable diffusions are generated off of generally the same library of images, so it makes sense that you'd be able to have recurring stuff appear. I had the stable diffusion running a few weeks ago, and I never got anything really cool out of it, but I didn't spend too much time on it. It's really neat though.
Yeah, I've messed around with the various AI generators. They're pretty fun, but yeah.
The stable diffusion one is
easy to have creepy things though. God,
for sure. Yeah, you end up with people with like 3 eyes, and then there's like a dude with 5 legs, and it's like, what's that? It's crazy. But they're improving that stuff really fast. And what I think Nate was the one saying, like, somebody was adding a thing that like does a pass to make sure that your faces are symmetrical, things like that. Like,
Wow.
so that gets rid of like 3 eyes and the people who have like 2 mouths and stuff. And but like they're getting better and better at that. And you could easily see iterating with these, like generating a weird picture and then having another pass at it that just kind of turns your weird looking people into something that looks a little normal, like takes off extra limbs. I don't know. I think this stuff's really neat, but the Loab thing is funny. And I like that people are freaking out about it.
Symmetric old lady scary. Let's see if it comes up.
I don't know if Dolly is going to do it though, because this one's coming specifically out of the Stable Diffusion.
That's coming out of Mid Journey, right? That's too symmetric. Old lady scary Loab. Loab?
Oh yeah, I wonder if you can name Loab.
Yeah.
Although that probably wouldn't make sense because the name Loab probably wasn't popularized since that or until well after the
I don't know if they
Corpus
trained on a Loab image.
No, the name Loab came after the fact.
Right, but how, is there a round trip?
Right, like, well, only if the Dolly, whatever the database that they're using, if they re-render it, that's funny.
This is very wholesome. Is this
delicious.
like a spam pie? What is this? No, it's like an Italian beef. What is going on here?
They made like Uncanny Valley food.
It's Uncanny Valley Italian beef.
That's kind of
awesome.
Like
corned beef with potato on bread and flowers and giardiniera.
I'm screenshotting that. That's the thumbnail.
I'm downloading that one. There you go.
I'll
send it over to you. Yeah.
So that's actually a cool idea, right? You could generate non-existent entrees and then figure out how to make it.
Have a whole restaurant that's just, here, I'll drop it into the channel here.
Eat the Loab
in general. Why not, right? Enjoy some food.
That looks like mashed potatoes and ham, but the bun has like 3 sides? Or those are lines?
I'm not sure that those are buns.
Oh.
I mean, the implication is that it's dessert adjacent, but I don't know.
To me, that almost looks like a fruit.
Yeah, like a fruit with like a meaty center. Yeah. I could see it.
Yeah. Okay, those look like slices of lemon, buns, ham, and mashed potatoes. That's what I'm seeing.
Here, I'm zooming in for you.
It's definitely not a lemon.
I mean, it has bready textures, like the inside of a donut bagel or something.
Oh, maybe it's like a pretzel.
This is it's not quite food,
Nope. Those are kiwis.
This is corned beefy.
That's a kiwi and a raspberry.
That's not a kiwi and a raspberry.
I think that's a kiwi and a raspberry.
And a raspberry. I see the raspberry, but I don't see a kiwi.
I see like a slice of kiwi.
I think that looks more like a maraschino cherry.
Ooh.
Maraschino cherry. Rosello.
All right.
This is definitely potato adjacent, right there.
That's awesome.
And then this is like what do you think that is? It's like a fruit.
Finger quotes.
I should put finger quotes as a button on my stream deck.
Right. All right. So we got the food delivery robot.
I love this story.
We've talked tons about weird situations with self-driving cars. But I think the food driving robots actually have like way more potential for shenanigans and less horrible shenanigans. Although this is kind of a worst case scenario because that it's a food delivery robot that went under a police tape, but it was during what was thought to be possibly an active shooter situation. Now it turned out that it was at a high school. It turned out that it wasn't. But still,
the robot didn't know that.
So the article actually says that somebody like saw the tape and like confirmed and clicked something, like they said it was okay.
They said it, went their little digital minder. I was like, yeah, go on. That's fine.
A supervisor like approved.
Yeah. I guess there's just no supervising these robots. They're out of control.
Right? The
Yeah,
robot
the thing I said
uprising.
was like, it was like, the robot's like, that police chief's not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to go in and I'm going to catch my guy, or whatever.
I didn't know that
Deliver my pie.
the robot uprising is going to be over somebody who wanted to have Dairy Queen delivered.
Right? That's so funny.
That's awesome. I don't know, like the delivery robot thing. I mean, I live too far out for it to be practical for me. But like Nate was saying that when they were testing them downtown, that you'd see the car, but then they'd be being followed by somebody to make sure they didn't mess up because they were testing them.
Sure.
That cracks me up. Like, what's your job? I follow the robot.
I look after the robot. I'm a security robot driver.
Maybe whoever had to
nonsense.
green light things looked and was like, well, I don't see a pool of blood, so go ahead.
So good.
That's awesome.
I'm a little robot. I can't wait to deliver my food.
I'm going on an adventure into an active shooter.
I like how the guy lifts the tape for him. He's like, "Oh, it's a food delivery robot.
Oh,
yeah, go on through, bud."
Well, in that situation,
that's a reporter who's just like, he's starting shit. He's like, "Oh, this is a good story,
right?
Oh yeah, go ahead, robot."
No harm can come of this.
I wonder what that, like, did the police like say, what is this shit, and like kick it over?
I mean, let's be fair. There's a chance that people might die.
Cops are like, what the F?
There's a chance that people might die, but that's no reason for you to, have cold Wendy's.
They're like, hey, hold on there, buddy. Or are they're taking down the tape?
No,
let the robots free.
They just let the robot go through? Good Lord.
Weird.
What a weird world. That's Los Angeles for you. They're like, oh,
whatever.
It's a robot. Let it in. The LAPD's, Los Angeles' finest.
Right. All right, let's see. We've got the IG Nobel Awards.
Ig Nobel.
The Ig Nobels. These are the joke Nobels, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're very serious people.
Very serious, yes.
Mark Abrams.
Was this Rob's?
I
wasn't
yeah,
mine.
but I mean, they happen every year, so.
I'm trying to.
I can't take credit for the Ig Nobel Awards. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you could.
Yeah, for me, reading through it, one of the more interesting ones was they did a study on ducklings drafting behind their mothers and are trying to figure out how we could build ocean convoys of one container ship the size that we have now and a bunch of smaller ships following it behind to save money.
That's kind of a good idea.
Fuel.
Truckers do that, right? I mean, I've never understood.
Kind of.
I've never understood if it's actually effective.
You can get sucked behind a truck, if you're like a biker or something,
I mean, for things like racing and stuff like that, it matters. And for things like, tens of thousands of miles of ocean journey, it matters. But I mean, there's a measurable amount that it matters to behind a semi, but not enough that it would really matter your bottom line.
It seems like a harpoon gun with a magnet and a rope would be just as effective.
As usual, the great thing about the Ig Nobels is they find really good papers, and they're kind of making fun of them, but they're really not. They're saying, "Wow, this is a really creative work,"
Constipated scorpions.
I mean, okay, that one's a little silly, but like this one where people are more attracted to each other, and because their heart rate synchronized. What a hell of a study that is!
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
The constipated scorpion story is weird because it's not, I mean, it's about that, but it's about how scorpions will give up their tails when being attacked by predators. And when they do that, they end up losing a third of their digestive tract, including their anus. So they're constipated because they no longer have those structures and they end up dying. But it takes them a couple months to die, in which time they can go and mate quickly.
Huh.
before they die.
Which is fascinating because I guess it doesn't grow back then, huh?
No.
You know, because I know in like geckos and lizards they'll
Mhm.
just grow back over time, right?
Starfish.
Yeah.
We should all get those heart rate
Starfish.
monitors that streamers put up, and then we can see if our
Oh.
heart rates sync up.
See
Yeah,
if we
'cause
really
we're such
love
good
each
friends.
other.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best friends.
Best friends.
Ah.
I slept for crap last night. So,
Okay. Let's see. We had
Okay.
the only
The
other one that we
Lost.
had on the list was Fletch. Looks like
Oh,
Jon
man.
Hamm is the new Fletch. And let me just say,
Mhm.
before we get into this, I know I have seen Fletch, but I could
The
tell
Chevy
you
Chase one?
literally nothing about it except that I know Chevy Chase is in it.
Yeah. So it was a fine movie. It was a book series before
Yeah,
it was a movie.
Yeah,
I knew that.
Fletch and
I was to
Flynn.
say, if either of you read those books, because the
Read
books
'em
are
all.
actually really funny.
Read them all.
Yeah.
I mean, not for like 20 years, but yeah, I read them all. Although he did one like in the modern age, and it's awful.
When is it
Like
set
a Flynn or a
originally?
Fletch book. No, it's like set in the 80s. You know, it's very contemporary when it was written. But like he wrote like a follow-on to sort of tie together all the dangling seeds, and it's like Old Man Yells at Cloud at that point.
Mm.
But yeah, the original books were good, but like, and the movie was pretty funny. You know, it was Chevy Chase, you know, who's a mixed bag, but he was really good in it. And, you know,
I'll rewatch
yeah.
that one. I'm curious if that holds up for me.
It probably does a little, you know.
I rewatched Caddyshack not that long
How is
ago.
that?
All old comedies really
Don't age.
they're paced. It's the jokes are if you thought they were funny then, you might still think they're funny now, but it's the pacing that I find weird. Jokes in movies now are way faster. And I don't know, it just seems, and maybe I'm wrong, but it feels that way. And but this particular, I mean, Fletch is just all kind of hinging on Chevy Chase doing physical comedy, right? Like,
Well, I mean, the
not
thing about the
really.
Fletch books is they were actually, the dialogue was really snappy, right?
Yeah.
And so it really came through in the movie. And the thing is, I remember the book that this one's based on, and they're trying to pull off the dialogue. And Jon Hamm's a charming MFer, right? But it just doesn't work. It's like the CW presents Fletch, you know? It's like you're just like, oh, I'm not into this.
Fletch was one of those things too. It came out, it's a little bit before my time.
Yeah, you're a
in
little
terms of
late.
being and I just remember one of my first experiences with one of my first jobs. My boss would reference Fletch like constantly. He was quoting Fletch. And I never got any of the references. And he would like, you have to have seen Fletch, in the same way that I would say to my children, like, of course you have to have seen Ghostbusters or whatever.
I mean, I think that's true of my generation. I'm slightly older than you, you know.
I mean, you would only take a couple of years because Fletch, like, the best movies from the early 80s made it, right? Like Ghostbusters survives forever. But like, I don't hear people talking about Fletch no more.
Well, they made oh my God, they made one for Fletch 1? Good God. I know they made a sequel. They had Fletch, Fletch Lives, and then they made one for Fletch 1. That's weird, man. What?
Let's see. Either of you,
When the hell did that come out?
either of you do House of the Dragon or Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power?
I watch both.
They're both kind of running on fumes, I think.
Actually, I disagree. I think that House of the Dragon it's entertaining. I'm enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it more now than Rings of Power.
I never started Rings of Power.
Yeah. I was generally not as mad at Game of Thrones as most people seem to have been.
Mhm.
I just don't think it was as good as the original. But this week, they have after the episode, they had an interview with the showrunner where he's talking about, well, every Game of Thrones needs a wedding where something doesn't go right, and it just struck me the wrong way. Like,
Yeah.
does it like Like, I think that might be the problem with the series. They're not really coming up with anything that's,
They're just trying to hit their marks.
particularly original. They're just like, oh, these are things everyone liked about Games of Thrones. Let's have more of those.
Right.
It's kind of like when people watch Raiders of the Lost Ark and decided, oh, the snakes and the spiders were the thing people liked. So let's make Temple of Doom and have this big eating scene with gross stuff.
Right. Every Star Wars movie has to have something vaguely like the cantina scene.
Yeah.
Let's go to the room filled with lots of weird monsters. Cool.
Yeah. Let's see if we can fit in some fan service into this cantina.
Yeah, this week's House of the Dragon is the episode I think I enjoyed the most of that season, and I think that this week's episode of Rings of Power was the episode I enjoyed the least. But also because this week's Rings of Power didn't have any of the Harfoot, and that's the plots that I like. I think those are interesting.
Well, I sort of think if Rings of Power had more dragons and naked people, it would probably do a lot better. Because House of Dragons,
it has
say
those.
What you will, they understand people want to see dragons and some naked people. They're like, hey, if we nail those two things, we got a hit in our hands.
Yep.
It's like, okay.
Yep. I need boobs and dragons, butts
naked
and
dragons. House of the Rings,
butts and wyverns. I don't know.
Wings and wyverns.
Andor premieres tomorrow.
Oh yeah, okay.
And that is, I think,
are they gonna have a cantina scene? You think?
So I bet not, because the reviews of it have all generally been pretty favorable, but they're all saying that it's very tonally different than anything else that Star Wars has ever done. So, well, we'll see. Or at least I will. I think
it's a slapstick comedy.
Definitely not. Different. I think it's going to be dark and gritty, more like the darker parts of Rogue One. But we'll see. I liked the character in Rogue One, but there wasn't a lot to him in that, I thought. But I'm interested to see what they do. And I think it's 3 episodes dropping up front. And I was reading, or I don't know if I heard a reviewer say that they saw 4 episodes, and they said the first 2 episodes are not very good by comparison, but it's all set up that pays off in episodes 3 and 4. And after that, you'll be into it, or that's what the reviewer said. They were into it, so I'm hoping that works out. But I don't have the highest of hopes after Boba Fett. Is there any other media worthy of discussion?
That's a good question. I mean, we wasted a lot of time on the bad Fletch show. So.
That's right. Wait, is Fletch a movie or a show?
It's a movie.
Oh, okay.
It might be a show. I only made it like half hour into it, and I was like, I can't do this.
Fair enough.
I'm out.
Mic drop.
So it could be 9 episodes. Who knows? Jon Hamm could have spent like the entire, I don't know, season in Toronto. Oh, She-Hulk. Yeah.
She-Hulk. I liked this week's episode of She-Hulk a lot.
I think I saw it. It was the trademark court case.
Yeah.
It was okay.
It was fun.
Honestly, I deal with intellectual property all the time. I'm like, oh, this is like work.
Right? See, I like that show best when it's doing the simplest version of what it's trying to do. Have a silly court case. Yeah. Maybe there's a fight. Tell me some jokes and let Tatiana Maslany have funny dating. Let her have a funny dating thing.
I admit it was all fan service, but I enjoyed the costume subplot.
Yeah.
That was admittedly pretty fun.
And they cut before we get to see the new costume, of course, because that's what you do in a Marvel show.
Yeah.
And the Daredevil's helmet showed up, and it was yellow, right?
It was like an off yellow.
Yeah, it looked more like the Frank Miller, the early '80s Daredevil.
And I'm all in on Daredevil, so I love that guy.
Faux show.
Faux show.
Yeah, Blue said it was all B plot, and see, that's what I kind of like about that show. I like the B plot of She-Hulk, because that show the stakes are low. I want the stakes to be low. I want it to be about her going on bad dates and her getting in trademark disputes, because that's not it's not aliens dropping cities from space, you know? Like
Yeah.
let's have fun. I
Sky
like that.
beams.
That's right. All right, let's say goodbye to the internet and let Rob Roseboom get his work done so that he can take a nap.
Yeah,
Bye, Rob.
that's
Bye,
a
Rob
good idea.
Roseboom.
Goodbye.
Bye, Chris DeBona.
See ya.
That was episode 745 of Geeks in Space. I was Rob Commander Taco Malta, and I will see you Friday, assuming we are all healthy. Bye.